This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. It's the day after Kell Brook with me, Barry Jones. Barry, I know you were tuned in. You were on a watch along. Years in the making, delivered last night. What do you make of the fight, first of all?
Yeah, it was good one. I really enjoyed it. You know, I wasn't one of these guys who was, I know everyone was super excited about it, maybe because I'm a little bit older than you guys by a couple of years, a couple of centuries maybe. But I was still looking forward to it. And as the fight got closer, I was really looking forward to it. You know, I really sold into it. And it was one-sided, completely one-sided, but also a good watch. It wasn't a classic. Like I read in one of the papers, it was like, apparently it was a fight of the ages or something like that, massively over exaggerated. But it was an enjoyable fight to watch. And Brook was so dominant. He was fantastic. He really was. No, it was. I've been saying all since it was announced. It's really two retired fighters boxing each other. That's what it was. So it was about who had the most left. Everyone's saying, listen, whoever you speak to, we're all going to say the same thing. But yeah, Brook clearly had a lot more left than Khan, to be fair. Khan was trying to do things that worked for him in the past, but his timing wasn't there, the speed. Actually, he was trying to rush it, I thought, if anything. But Brook stayed calm. And you know, with Khan can make you panic because he is so fast that when he fires darts at you, you know, you can be a little bit, oh, I got to fire back. And Brook kept his composure all the time, just waited for the right shot. And when he hit him in that first round with that straight right hand and then come over the left hook, he was, you know, Khan really was, even though he regained his senses pretty quick, he was tactically in trouble from there on in because he was fighting to survive rather than fighting to win the fight. And it's a different mindset.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, just prior to the fight, we heard the whole glove gate nonsense going on behind the scenes, but then we saw the gloves being changed in the ring. What were you making watching all of this happen? I hadn't seen anything like that.
Well, first of all, I thought, oh, there's been a complaint with the gloves. And I thought, actually, that would be done before they got in the ring, for this changing. I couldn't understand what was going on. And then I thought it was a sponsorship issue. Because I had the sound, because I was doing a watch along, I had the sound down, so I couldn't hear anything what was being said. So I thought that must be a sponsorship issue where he wants to wear Grant, but they've signed some sort of document where they have to go in the ring with Fly. So it was like, I thought it was like Brook being a bit of a pain in the ass, but it was obviously maybe the other way reverse. That they maybe can't say you have to wear Grant gloves. I think that's what it was in the end. But again, they're all, it's inconvenient. But I think they just think to trying to make this. They don't like each other. Well, they didn't, and whatever they can do to mess each other up. And I think because Khan was the A side, financially, then he dictated the terms. But almost when the fight happened, let's be honest, it only happened because of his say so, and he dictated everything. The weight, the person. If there was a rehydration clause, they're saying there wasn't, but there's rumors that there still was. It was all on Khan's side, and that's the luxury you have when you're the A side, when you're the money man, and I think that again with the gloves was just something to try and mess with Brook's head, but it didn't work. If anything, it probably all these things helped to steel Brook into more of a fight machine because he was very, very good. He seemed to roll back the years, but let's also not get carried away. He did seem to roll back the years, but let's remember who he was fighting against. It was a guy who'd had a long, hard career who had a foot and a half in retirement already, let's be honest, as did Kell Brook, we thought. But now Kell Brook gets to win, and now he's rejuvenated and looking for bigger challenges, and that's good on him. But also, he doesn't need to. This is a great fight to go out on. I think this is a great fight, great way, a big money fight. I'm sure it did massive figures on the pay-per-view platform, and that'll be well, I'll wait to sign out if he did go out.
That's what everyone was kind of debating last night after the fight. I saw some people, like you've just said there, calling for Kell Brook to go out on this. This is what he's wanted for so long. He can now be at peace. He's put this to bed. But then we had Chris Eubank Jr. on the broadcast. Conor Benn was ringside saying he wanted the fight. Do you think he needs these fights at this point, Barry?
He doesn't need any fights. He didn't need this fight. No, for his personal health, not at all. But the difference between him and him it's hard. It's easy for us to say this is a great fight to go out in, but if someone's offering you 3, 4, 5, 2, 10, whatever the money is, and only go up, then how would you turn that down? Even for someone like Amir who's in much more than all these guys you're talking about, How does he turn it down? You know that's the problem. But Khan can afford to. That's the difference. So Kell can, has enough money to live on, of course, but he hasn't got the 20 odd million in the bank that Khan has. I'm just guessing, because he's probably earned about 40 mil. He might have 3 or 4 mil in the bank, 2 mil in the bank. I don't know what he's got, but he's probably on that sort of thing, which is a lot of money, but not enough to mean you just sit down and just, do what you want when you want, any time of the day for the rest of your life and your children. You think about your kids' lives as well. So, another 5 million helps, another 3 million helps, and it's hard to turn down. And also, he'll feel now that he was so sharp on Saturday night that he'll know too much for Conor Benn, which he could, or that he's better technically and will catch Eubank as he lunges in forward, which he could, and the money would be great for him. The problem is it's crazy to say he's the B-side again in both of those fights. He's the better fighter on paper and probably in the ring. Though my time is everything because of the age, and he's achieved more. But one's called Ben, one's called Eubank. So, and one was called Khan. That was just unfortunately how it is for him. But it's not saying unfortunately, because he can literally make an absolute steal. He can make more money he's ever made in his career being the B side than he did when he was the A side. How's that work out? That's just madness. So, I don't want to see him fight again. I think that's a great way to go out, but you can't blame him if he takes a Ben fight for a couple of million or a Eubank fight for maybe more again. That's the thing. I think what would have been interesting if Khan would have won, because Khan versus either one of those is a bigger fight again. Like financially, that's Khan and Conor Benn would be massive financially, really would. But it wasn't to be. So Brook was still a big fight, and yeah, I think he'll take one of those. That's the worry for me. And like I imagine the fact I didn't see the interview, but I seen the Ben Shalom. I saw him next to Brook, and when I saw that, but I couldn't hear it, I thought he's definitely fighting again, because Ben's going to do. Because all these promoters, they sort of care for the fighter, but not really, because otherwise they couldn't do their business. So he's only doing what every other promoter would do and stand next to the winner and say, "We can do good things now." Not listen, you've had a long career, that's enough now, mate. You had a good win. He's not going to say that to him. He's going to go, "You're a TV date that I can fulfill. You're an obligation I can fulfill, and we can all make a good living out of you getting in the ring, getting battered or winning or whatever it is." And so he'll try his best to make the Eubank fight seems a fight easy to make, because how do they make the Conor Benn fights? Because he doesn't go on his own, does he? That's the truth. Because they might be able to pay the money, which he will, but would they be able to pay more than Sky? They might be able to pay more than Sky, but they wouldn't get the platform or the figures that Sky, because Sky's still the powerhouse in boxing. That's just how it works, because they have a massive platform that can draw on millions.
Just a quick word on Amir Khan, Barry. We've seen him show incredible heart throughout his career, but last night especially really took his licks in there. After the fight, he didn't fully confirm he was going to retire, but he did say, "I need to speak to my family, and this is probably a sign I don't love boxing anymore. This might be the time to walk away." If this is it for Amir Khan, what a career, what a way to look back and be proud of.
He's had a great career. From 17 years. Remember, that man, he's lived all his adult life in the spotlight. From 17 in the Olympics, which was a phenomenal to get to the final there, and when they lose to a Cuban great, Kinderland, to go on to and have his trials and tribulations as a pro, get knocked down time and time again, get up. He's been fighting adversity in the ring from early on in his career. He showed vulnerabilities. He showed blistering hand speed and world-class quality from his first fight. He also showed vulnerabilities early on in his career. He got tagged and hurt by people like Willie Lamond, who wasn't the biggest puncher. Michael Gomez, who was past his salary day, but could bang. Of course, he hurt him. The Brady's Prescott knockout, which was horrific, was enough to finish his career. And he regrouped. And he's shown steel and kahunas beyond what you need to show to call yourself a brave fighter. So you can never question that. The only time that he's looked that he didn't want to know was against Crawford. In his last fight, wasn't it, prior to this one? And you tend to think that was probably the one where you think that would have been the end. But again, last night, he was clearly up against it. after the first knockdown, his legs were shaky. His legs were shaky more than they weren't shaky. That's the crazy part of this, but he still went on. But he wasn't winning any rounds. There's an argument he could have won a second, maybe, but that would have been it at best. And that probably wasn't the case there either. And he continued, and he got saved by the referee in the corner, and he did the right thing. He's had a great career throughout. He's been entertaining in and outside the ring for various reasons. Whatever he is, he's always a story, isn't he? And he's had to put up with all that. And I think now is a good time for him to sail out. No one wants to go down a loss, but the true reality is most have to. That's just how it is, because you win like Kell Brook now. You want to go. You think you've got one big more fight left in you. In reality, you don't. So he goes on, he moves on, and does he need to continue? Does he need? He doesn't need the money. Him and his family, they're secure now for good, unless literally buying jets 3 days a week. He'll be fine, and he's a celebrity, so he'll make money doing other stuff. He's transcended the sport, and our sport is still a niche sport, boxing. Let's not forget that. And to transcend the sport, there's very few in Britain that have done it, and he's one of them. And he's been top of the bill since he turned pro. Almost every time he's got stepped in the ring, it's been he'll be happy in retirement. He may be a weight off his shoulders. I'm sure they will.
Just a couple on the undercard before I let you go, Barry. So Tasha Jonas step up 3 weights to become WBO super welterweight champion last night. Second round TKO. What do you make of her performance?
Well, we say 3 weights, but it's technically 4 weights, because I think she moved up a weight. She was a super featherweight, and she moved up the lightweight to box Katie Taylor. So, I don't think she could make super featherweight, but no one made an issue of it moving up in weights. It was crazy. If that was a man doing that, if that was a man who lost 2 world title fights at super feather and lightweight, and then moved up to super welter, which is the all light middle, to box, it was a vacant title. I understand that. It would have been called madness. And I know that women don't have the strength in depth that the men's sport has at the moment. So the chances are she's moving up in weight, and the woman she's boxing might not be that good. That's just the reality of it right now. The women have some fantastic boxers, and it's getting better all the time. But there's still a lot that are not up to standard of what you would call really a world level. But I watched the woman she fought before. I watched a couple of her fights on YouTube, and she was quite tenacious. So I thought, with the physical, and she was much bigger than Jonas. So I thought it might be a battle for her. Jonas would be better technically and in every quarter, but the sheer size means you can't intimidate her. But again, a southpaw stance. She caught with the left hand and a right hook, and it was the girl did well to get up. To be fair, how she got up from that first knockdown, but the right was on the wall, it seemed that she was out of the water. It was like she went up a few weights to chase her dream. That was all it was. She had it was a close, hard fight. I thought Harper won the first world title, but a lot of people thought that Jonas got over the line, and then she pushed Katie Taylor but lost. That's fine. That's 2 world title losses, and you could have been chucked by the wayside. And obviously she can't get the Taylor rematch because she has bigger fish to fry. She probably can't make super featherweight again. The super lightweight or the light welterweight is Chantal Cameron's in a little mini tournament there of her own, and she was the number 1, the unified, undisputed there. And so there was the only option was to go up a further weight, just to chase your dream. It takes a lot of ball to even contemplate that, whether the opposition's good or not. And she did it. So, and everyone loves Tasha Jonas. She's the John Ryder of the female boxing. I don't know anyone in Britain who doesn't like and respect her. That's the truth of it. So well done, Natasha. Yay.
Well, Barry, thank you for taking a break from family life to speak to Boxing Social this morning. We'll let you get back to it. We'll catch you very soon.
Cheers, right. Take care, mate.